Hi guys, this is to address our Alpha Z or Gen Z youngsters in Nepal who made it, who made through and who proved the world that there's a limit to the endurance, there's a limit to how far and how long or in what measures young people can be pushed back against the walls. In fact, this is exemplary and really commendable. I'm all praised for what happened there, because when I research about the backdrop of this incendiary and this outrage, it's a total collapse of the governmental Unrest task of giving or providing its citizens, law-abiding, peaceful citizens, the basic essence of the living, the basic rights, employment, right to livelihood, also their self-respect, self-esteem, the opportunity to grow, to advance their career, to make a mark in their lives in the world arena. But young people, they are well exposed to all kinds of tumultuous or turbulence happening around. What's going on in our neighboring country, that's a very tiny nation, Nepal, and which is more or less a theological state in the sense that the government, which comprises of Brahmins, the high class, and then we have followed by Kshatriyas, and they have an echelon of bureaucratic supremacists and also oligarchies, like they own all the hotels, all the prime locations, they have a palatial state buildings, and this was the resultant impact, or it was brewing for a while, in fact. And for years they have been pushed, and they have been forced to live in a sort of delusional world of failure after failure, isn't it? So youngsters, they had loads of frustrations. They were really fed up with the way the government was, pocketing the entire resources of Nepal. They had a palatial state buildings, owning all kinds of infrastructures, and they owned luxurious cars, and family after family, it's like a hierarchy of nepotism, large-scale nepotism. And once they pushed the government for a referendum earlier in the 80s, and then this time, it knew no bounds, and because the frustration was so much that they would have taken anyone, how so powerful, or whether it's military in the street or whether it's so they indulged in arson, looting, setting ablaze all the prime properties. But that's a huge loss, for the country, because you'll have to revive its economy. On one front, it will have to renovate, rebuild, and young people, I don't know what they will, are they going to be compensated with, because the incumbent chief, from the judiciary, there's a lot of buzz about a glimmer of hope, because perhaps she's the one who's listening to the legitimate demands. She's the one looking into the. So until the interim government takes into control of the things, it's really a fluid situation where the unfoldings have been unfortunate, and this sends a clear signal to all those regimes or democratic elected government. They continue to be oblivious of the fact that there is a limit to what extent they can exploit, blackmail, they can use the votes of franchise to stay in power, and glued to the power or throne. It's like a monarchy, and without the real concern on addressing the genuine pressing problems of these young guys who had no jobs. They are forced to flee their country in hundreds and thousands. I see all of those Nepalese young youths, and even women, all of the airports in the Middle East, everywhere. I mean, whether there's any security guard you look for anywhere, you will find a person from Nepal. And I'm all appreciative of the diligence, hardworking people, honest integrity, with less of and law-abiding citizens. In fact, largely, I haven't seen unruly Nepalese, and that's how they're trusted all over as a security guards. And so I have attended an ELT conference also in Nepal University, and I've been invited to be one of the presenters. So everything is fine as long as the entire government machinery is after amassing all its wealth and resources, and is never distributed among the commoners, and commoners, they're made to suffer like anything. So it's a crescendo. It's like it was boiling, and it has exploded in the form of this legitimate protest first, after the government tried to crush the legitimate demands by imposing ban on social media. But social media works in a multi-pronged way. You ban one thing, then you have the other one to use. So they banned Facebook, they use Viber, they use a Snapchat and other. There's plenty of leeways, and young people are really smart at looking at those applications, and everyone has is in possession of a smartphone, and the technology makes them at least so aware that they can think of that, they can discuss, they can form groups, they can convey the right messages, they can rally around the like-minded youths among, and that's how they brought the whole entire youth community, youth populace to the street, and then they started pressing for their demands, and they had to take the law and order into hands. And nothing worked. The policemen, they were chased, and the properties were looted, set ablaze. Even the presidential house I saw, it's ablaze, and it was ruined, but completely beyond doubt. And they will have to rebuild everything. But that's fine as long as the country is made of the citizens. The country is not made of the administrators, or whether it's democracy or whatever form of government you choose to. The government has to be responsible, accountable for the larger welfare of the countrymen. And as long as countrymen are resilient, and they're not voicing their genuine grievance, and they're tight-lipped, and they're muzzled, the press freedom is. So it's a clear message to the countries around, like including India, where sometimes the government resorts to such gimmick, stopping the legitimate protests and demonstrations of the opposition parties, and they're not allowed to rule their roost or even voice the concern in the legitimate way, and they're not permitted to assemble, and 144 is imposed sometimes, and they have to. There is a rigmarole of the bureaucratic red tapeism that has to be cut through, even for voicing a genuine concern. So this is a clarion call and a clear signal, and it should be heeded to by any legitimate government, that it cannot continue to be negligent and irresponsible, cannot continue to rule by batons, so rule by the law of the land. And every vote counts. A vote has the power in it to choose, uproot, or throw the government. World over, and during the history, I've witnessed in my lifetime that there have been overthrows of the illegitimate government overnight, in 6 days, a week, or 10 days. Sri Lanka is a case in point, and very recently, And somehow, Nepal, I mean, had to come to this. So every country must take it as a cue, a lesson, learn a lesson that far too long you cannot keep the commoners and its people under the repression or on the subjugation. And this is, we're living in 21st century world where media, technology, and the dissemination information is so robust, so fast, so it's conflagrates into, I mean, it's really leads to the genuine pooling of the right-minded people, resources, and they can collaborate. And of course, this is the only way out. I mean, I don't see any other way out when your government continues to be to be just commercialized beneficiary of all the resources the country is endowed with. They continue to rule the roost. They have the investment worldwide in the hotels, and I'm talking about Nepal case, and they promote all the all those industrialists, investors, and plum positions they held by themselves. Here it's a caste system that has worked against the upper caste and Brahmins accounts for like 66, like only 6% to 10%. They have been ruling as a ruling class, and then we are followed by Kshatriya and another class, businessmen and tradesmen. That's what happens in the 3-tier, 2-tier, 4 tiers of caste system based machinery, where upper class, they always have upper hand. They will have their own hegemony. They will somehow, because they are more educated, exposed to resources, they have had always a sway that they always had. I mean, like it's a history of in India, in Nepal, in those countries which are like struggling economy. They have broke the yoke of the foreigners, and they have gained the independence recently. All of them, they still suffer from this malaise, this root cause of the social inequality, because one caste, one religion, all these kinds of things take upper hand over what is rightful, what is righteous, what is valued at, and what intellectual property. And think of the people and the children of the lower caste, like Hindus and Shudras, and what they call untouchables, and OBC, other backward class and all. And that's what, and in India also, the voice are being raised against this distinction, discrimination, this bias, this clear-cut hierarchy or echelon of the influential people, haves, and the white gulf, haves and have-nots. And on the other hand, I heard Rahul Gandhi stating that people think as if he is against the business conglomerates, and he talks about divestment, and actually he's not against the capitalism or per se. What he wants is that all the resources, the wealth of the to be enjoyed and distributed, and has to be not in a handful of hands, but those who go insane, and those who are really hankering after all the wealth. And so they take the whole country, the nation, on ransom. And then who bear brunt is the common people, because more and more opportunity withdrawn. The decisive act by these investors and what you call 20 big houses in India, the same like ruling parties in Nepal, they have all the stakes at their disposal. And then for a decade or so now, there has been rampant unemployment. There's been refugee-like conditions, and no Nepali gets any opportunity in the whole country is to migrate. The whole country is outside working, somehow meeting the daily needs. So this doesn't augur well for the neighboring countries, and all the democratic elected government, they should also consider that they should work tirelessly towards the welfare of the common people. within the statutes of the constitutional framework. And constitution, if it's really implemented with its highest ideals and values, they are brought into inception with utmost honesty and integrity. There's no doubt that everybody will have his own fair share of wealth, and everyone will prosper, and there will be equal opportunity for whether it belongs to the minority, belongs to the lower caste, or belongs to the under-resourced, underprivileged, or which are inaccessible people. So any country cannot be truly termed as a developed or developing or progressive unless and until it's every citizen is fed well, it has his own rights protected, and it's his own career path it chooses. It has a liberty, it has a freedom of expression, it has so all these are cardinal basic principles that we humanities we must aspire for. So we humanity are not just for earning the bread or just filling a mouth, although that's becoming impossible. Even in India, I find large scale employment. The per capita income is abysmally low. It's well below all those underdeveloped countries in the in the African continent. Its index, its per capita income, its GDP and all tour is going down the drain. In fact, because some faulty policies being carried out, well, some of the rash decisions or reckless decisions taken, all because of the turbulence and the kind of indulgence in the warmongering with the neighbors, and also reprioritizing our resources towards the right sector. That's really important. How much money I'm really aghast. I'm pained and angered to know that Indian government is spending enough money on education, and its allocation of education has gone down. Then we have NEP, National Education Policy, which has its own problems because of the hidden agenda being floated towards indoctrination, was giving the false premises of historical backdrop, how history is being distorted and things are not being presented in the right perspective, and one community is given undue importance at the cost of others. You cannot reshape the history. You can reshape the present or future, but can't reshape the history. That's past, and that's a fact, and it's corroborated by the other books. And whether you change the curriculum right from the beginning or anyway, that's not the point. The point is that it's laudable, it's praiseworthy. It's that the youngsters and those who have been called as rabid rebels and all, they were constrained to take the laws in their hands simply because they have been pushed and they have been exploited and they have been in a lurch. The future was at stake. They have been left in the doldrum. No bright future, nothing. No. So how long can the government ignore the basic things? So best of luck to the new incumbency with the right many people at the helm of affairs, and I hope that any revolution that brings about, at least for a couple of years, things are reset. It's redesigned, rebuilt with a new vision. It's like envisioning the future once again. So if it doesn't work with the previous, that's what democracy offers. You can always change the government, whether it's a majority or minority or hung parliament, or we always have the commoner, the people have the mandate to choose the right governance, the right kind of people to be at the helm of affairs, decision makers and all. If they fail in their duties, they have no right to stay there. They have to be removed by coercion, by force, or by street demonstrations. And so any constitutional sovereign state gives the right to the commoners to demonstrate for the genuine concerns, genuine demands. And let's hope that the genuine demands are addressed and the new government comes to a senses. And it's in collaboration, in consultation with the youths. And you should not forget that this is brought a purpose to the fore. And they should not forget that this struggle is not just for throwing away the previous regime, but to bring more welcome change in the state of Nepal, our tiny, lovely, mountainous neighbor. I wanted to visit all the mountains, especially those peaks, and let's see if I remain robust in my. I'll definitely visit. I have been there once, but couldn't be a beneficiary of all the tourist attractions that the country offers. Best of luck to the strugglers and all to the regimes who should come to the common sense. Thank you.